Hi, you all. Good afternoon. I am Carla D'Imperio. I'm the Director of Family Support with the Phelan-McDermid Syndrome Foundation, and I'm so excited to be here today with Chardell Buchanan. We're presenting our ninth Pathways Education Series webinar of 2025, and this is a really hot topic chosen by you all. We had almost 100 people register, so um, pretty exciting to see these different topics that are important to our community come to life. Okay, please keep in mind that this presentation is not medical advice. Please discuss any medical decisions or changes to your loved one's medical treatment with his or her medical professionals. Let me introduce Chardell to you all, and then I will turn it over to her. Many of you have probably met Chardell or seen her before. She's done a number of presentations for our families regarding nutrition. Chardell is a registered dietitian nutritionist and dedicated parent. She specializes in supporting families navigating the challenges of rare diseases, particularly focusing on enhancing the well-being of both children and parents through nutrition. Following her son Ben's diagnosis with Phelan-McDermid syndrome, Chardell experienced firsthand the toll it took on her own health while caring for him. Recognizing the crucial need for caregivers to prioritize their own well-being, she applied her expertise in nutrition to optimize both Ben's health and her own. With a bachelor's degree in dietetics from Brigham Young University and a master's degree in community health education from Brooklyn College, Chardell is equipped with a comprehensive understanding of the role nutrition plays in overall health. She has shared her insights on platforms such as the Rare Mamas Rising and Because We Are Strong podcasts, as well as the Hatching for Health television show, where she discusses the significance of nutrition for families with rare diseases. Chardell wrote the new nutrition guidelines and consulted with them on them with Kara Dubinsky, and those will be shared today, which we're very, very excited about. And Chardell is also a director on PMSF's board of directors. So we're thrilled to have you here today, Chardell. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you. Honestly, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm so excited to be here today. This is something that I've looked forward to for quite a while now. If you want us to advance to the next slide, I'll give my introduction.
Perfect.
I'm Chardell Buchanan. Most important title that I have is Mama to Ben. He has Phelan-McDermid syndrome. But what I do is I help parents who have a child with a rare disease to eat better, to feel better, and then to help their child. And because I feel like this is really something that affects the entire family. And if the parents are well cared for and the children are well cared for, then that's the winning combination. That's what we want. And we are going to talk about the new nutrition guidelines that, yes, this has taken a long time, and I'm so humbled and excited and thrilled that they are out. This is fabulous. So at the end of the webinar, you're going to know what those new guidelines are for nutrition and supplements in PMS. And I'm actually going to give you a homework assignment because that is what I do. But I think what's really important as we talk today, just to remember that PMS is a mutation of a gene or a deletion of a gene, right? And that gene can't be replaced by eating a food. That's not how it works. What we're doing with nutrition is we're supporting the pathways and the systems in the body that are affected by that gene being missing. We're going to make sure that we have all the nutrients and the cofactors that we need. And when we're talking about nutrition, though, I want you to think of it like this. Your child or the loved one that you have with Phelan-McDermid syndrome, their body is like a kitchen. And it runs thousands of recipes. And every recipe that it makes either makes a protein or an enzyme that is needed, okay? And so if your gene is like the recipe card, so if that gene is missing or it's misprinted, it doesn't matter how many ingredients you have or how much stuff you have in the kitchen, the chef still can't make that recipe. Okay. So what we're doing with nutrition is we're making sure that the kitchen is well stocked, that the lights are on, that all the pots are clean, that everything is ready for all the other recipes that are being made to run really smoothly. But we can't rewrite that missing recipe. So what we're doing is we're going to give your child's body the strongest possible foundation to thrive with recipes that they do have while we wait for the, science to move in those other areas to help with rewriting the recipe. The disclaimer for me is that the information is for educational purposes only. So I am a dietitian, but I am not your specific dietitian, right? I can't give you medical advice for your specific situation over this webinar. It's just not ethical. It's not something we're going to do. So I want you to keep in mind that everything that I'm saying today is just a suggestion or something to consider. I'm not telling you how to treat your child, or I'm not giving out diagnosis or anything like that. I want you to consult with your healthcare team, consult with your dietitian before you make any changes to diet or supplement, just so that we make sure everything's safe, okay? Obviously, if you have any questions, you can email me or talk to me, or you can have your doctor or your dietitian or whoever reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions. Okay, next one. We are talking about, let me get into this. So 3 years ago, I did a webinar on healthy eating for PMS. And during that, I mentioned that there were no studies done on nutrition and PMS. And I said, I even said it, I was like, maybe that's the thing that I need to push the foundation to do next, because this needs to be done. And a year and a half ago, I presented at the conference in Minneapolis. And at that time, we had one study on PMS, and it was actually on supplementing with vitamins. And after that, I was like, you know what? It's time. We need to do this. Families need to have some guidelines. Clinicians need to have some guidelines that we can use as a foundation for nutrition and PMS, because honestly, nutrition is crucial. It really is. It's supportive in a way that is accessible to everyone. You don't have to make an appointment with a specialist to give your kid more fruits and vegetables. You don't have to do that. You can start doing these things right now, and it's going to help your kid. Even a small change is going to have a big impact. Like, I've seen it. I did it with Ben. I've been hard at work studying all the science, both in PMS and in other rare diseases and in the autism world, things that we can extrapolate from the science that has been done and apply to PMS. And I've consulted with Kara Dubinsky, who's my colleague and also a dietitian, and developed these nutrition guidelines. They're easy to understand and they're easy to implement. And I just wanted to give you a quick peek of them, Carla, if you don't mind screen sharing them so that everyone can see. These are the guidelines. Everyone, I am thrilled. I am thrilled, and it's just such an honor that these are out. I can't tell you all the work that has gone into this. This feels like such a big accomplishment that these are here for you to use. You can take this to your doctor, you can take this to your dietitian and say, this is what we know at this point in time. This is what's going to help our kids. So these guidelines are going to show you how you can support your child. And I did this because I'm just like you. I have a child with PMS, and I know how hard it can be sometimes to fit everything in, all the things that you're covering for your child between therapies and doctors and medications. You have a lot on your plate. And I know that when something is broken down into small steps, it's a lot easier to do. So this is not all the sciencey talk. I'm not coming to you as a scientist. These guidelines are in terms you can understand. They are practical, they're doable, they're backed by science and experience. And when you're implementing them, I want you to remember this, that you don't have to be perfect. Okay. The fact that you're going to be consistent and the fact that you're doing that with intention, that's enough. Start right there. And I hope that once we have them broadly distributed and everybody has them, that this can lead to more research being done on PMS and nutrition, because I think once we have this baseline, we can only go up from here. So you've heard me talk about this before, and it's probably just going to be a quick review for you. If you're just meeting me today, hi, we should be friends. But what I'm going to give for you today is kind of an overview. If you want more in-depth on this specific step about the foundations of healthy eating for PMS, I did do a webinar about this, and the recording is up on the Foundation's YouTube channel, so you can watch it there, or you can always send me an email. But here are the basics of healthy eating for PMS. The first thing that I want you to work on for healthy eating for Phelan-McDermid syndrome is that variety. And I'm talking variety from all the foods. We want fruits and vegetables, we want whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fat. This is really important for our kids. Our kids need a variety of foods, because that's the way that we're going to expose them to a variety of vitamins and minerals that are going to support those body systems. Okay, whole grains offer complex carbohydrates that give the body long-lasting energy. They give vitamins, minerals, protein, and fiber. We're gonna talk about fiber. Fruits and vegetables are gonna offer carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, minerals, and water. So we want to make sure that you're getting a variety of food in your child's diet. I say child, some of the people on here, you're adults too. So I'll say your loved one with PMS. We want to make sure that we're getting a good variety in the diet. Fiber and water. Fiber is basically the part of the plant that the human body can't digest, but it's very helpful. As it moves through the digestive tract, it helps with digestion and it helps to prevent constipation. So that Fiber comes in things like whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables. That's where it comes from. Okay. Anything that's plant-based is going to have fiber in it. Um, and we want to start a little slowly because fiber, in order to move through, needs water. So we don't want to just increase the fiber really quickly in in the diet and not increase water. That will create a problem. So I put hydration matters there. We want to make sure that you're offering water. Water in the body does a lot of things. Number one, it helps with temperature regulation. And we know that people with PMS have a hard time regulating temperature, not only getting too hot, but also getting too cold. So water, if you're properly hydrated, that can help with that temperature regulation. It also helps with muscle function. It helps with nutrient absorption. It helps with elimination of toxin and waste from the body. So what I want you to do with the water and fiber category here is I want you to increase the fiber in the diet and add water. Start with water. Offer it first every time. At every meal and snack, offer water first. And if your child wants something else to drink on top of that, that's great. But I want you to be offering water all the time, okay? That's going to be very helpful for the body. Protein. Proteins build, repair, and maintain all body tissues. They're vital. They are vital. And protein has been shown in studies to promote satiety, which for a lot of people living with PMS, that's a tricky thing. That feeling of, have I eaten enough? Am I full? I'm sure you can relate with this. So it's important to offer that at every meal and snack. And it doesn't have to be a large amount. A snack that we offer Ben after school is going to have a little bit of protein. So for example, yesterday he had an apple, like half an apple, a cheese stick, and some whole grain goldfish crackers. That's a great snack. It has the protein in there that's going to help promote the satiety, but also support those body systems. Healthy fats. Fats supply energy. And it aids in growth, and it's a part of every body cell you have has fat in it. So the fats that you're eating make up the cells in your body. So it's important that we're getting good quality fats in there, healthy fats. And really importantly, fats help to, the vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat soluble. We're going to talk about this in a minute, but know that fats help those vitamins to be absorbed into the body cells. Last down there, I put limit processed foods and added sugar. Listen, I'm not saying your kid can't ever have that. I'm just saying you need to keep an eye on it, okay? People with Phelan-McDermid syndrome metabolize those processed foods and added sugars a little differently. So we just want to make sure that we're offering nutrient-dense foods the majority of the time. And when I say nutrient-dense, you know what I mean by that, right? Tell you what, put it in the Q&A. Either put a yes or a no if you know what I mean when I say nutrient dense, because I want to make sure we're on the same page with that. I don't want to be just like throwing stuff out if it's not making sense. But we want to offer those most of the time. And like something I can think of off the top of my head is peanut butter, right? Peanut butter doesn't need sugar added to it. It's peanut butter. So when you're buying peanut butter on the shelf, just buy the regular kind with no added sugar. That's an easy change you can make that will it's a small thing that can have an impact. Here's your homework assignment for the week. If we're looking at those things that are listed here, adding a variety of foods, increasing water and fiber, protein at every meal or snack, and offering healthy fats. For this week, one thing that you can do right now is I want you to just add fruits and vegetables to every meal and snack. That's really easy, and you can do that, and that's going to help you right now. So even if you like need to jump off and go do something else can't stay on this webinar, just adding in a fruit or vegetable to every meal and snack this week is going to make a difference. So I want you to try that. And then as time goes on, you can add some more things. You can try replacing your grains with whole grains. You can add in more, offer water first at every meal. That's what I would like you to do when you leave this is make one change this week, starting right now, okay? I suggest fruits and veggies, but you can choose something else if you feel like it would be a better option. Okay, now we can go forward. So we have all this good food. We know what we're going to offer for that optimal nutrition, but I think it's important to note that there are things we can do to support those nutrients that we've just eaten being absorbed into the cells. So there are vitamins and minerals. There are some that are fat soluble and some that are water soluble. And all this means is water soluble ones need enough water present to be absorbed into the cells, and fat soluble ones need a source of fat present in order to be absorbed into the cells. So if that fat is not present, then it can't get into the cell. If you're eating a supplement if your child has a supplement or you're loved one with Phelan-McDermid syndrome has a supplement that is either vitamins A, D, E, or K. We need to make sure that we are giving them appropriate amounts of fat so that those can be absorbed. Zinc and protein, particularly animal protein, is going to help zinc. If your child is low in zinc, it can be helpful to offer foods that are rich in zinc alongside those. A side note is casein found in milk actually doesn't help zinc be absorbed, but other animal products do. For example, if you're getting meat, fish, seafood, any of those, that's going to help for the zinc to be absorbed. Eggs and dairy also contain zinc. Beans, nuts, whole grains, those are the ones from plants, and that's the ones you want to pair with an animal protein, so it's going to help it be absorbed into the cell, okay? So an idea you can try is if you're giving chili for dinner with beans, put some ground beef in your chili, and now it's going to help that zinc to be better absorbed. It's just a quick example. Another thing that people with Phelan-McDermid syndrome tend to be low on is iron. And we know that iron from animal sources is well absorbed, but from plants, sometimes it's not taken up as easily. So if you want to increase the absorption of iron from plant foods, we're going to pair it with vitamin C. So what does that look like? That looks like if you're doing tofu stir fry, adding in bell peppers. That's if you are doing a spinach salad, add some citrus. If you're doing tacos, with black beans, add some salsa. If you're doing oatmeal, add in blueberries, lentils with sweet potatoes. Those are all just examples of pairings that you can do that will help the iron from a plant-based source to be better absorbed. Yeah, good plant-based sources of iron are beans, lentils, spinach, tofu, whole grains, and vitamin C's like broccoli, tomatoes, citrus fruits, strawberries, peppers. All of that's great. So we want to support the nutrients getting into the cells, the ones that we're eating, because it's important that not only do we get them into the body, but we get them into the cells where they can do their job. Okay, we're going to move on to the next slide, please, Carla, and we're going to talk about supplements. Okay, there were a lot of questions about supplements for Phelan-McDermid syndrome. Here's what I want to make clear is that supplements, I think it's important to know that they are a support. And I've talked about this many times before. I like using a food first approach. A supplement can be added in addition, but I like to start with food. So the whole point of a supplement, right, is we're going to support nutrient needs. We're going to support digestion, mood regulation, and energy. So I'm not saying everyone who has Phelan-McDermid syndrome needs a supplement. Okay. I'm just saying you need to consider them and talk to your healthcare provider about them. So supplements, I'm going to read this. Supplements, whether micronutrients, botanicals, or specialized compounds, are often used to correct deficiencies and support physiological processes or manage systems. However, they are not universally benign. Just like medication, supplements carry the potential for adverse effects, contamination, interactions. So it's really important that we assess the need for supplements as our first step. So let's say you get a lab result back that says, I am low in iron. Okay, then that indicates a deficiency, and a supplement could be a great option, especially if you've already tried iron-rich foods and you're not getting the response that you need. If you found some well-documented effects that can be considered like a complement to clinical care, then you can consider a supplement. Okay, we're not basing supplement use on trends or general wellness goals or anything like that. We want to avoid any unnecessary risks because they're not benign. Anytime you're taking something into your body, there is a risk for an interaction. There's a risk for contamination. There's a risk for something happening. And we don't want to just take these just to take them. We want to make sure that we're taking them because there's a reason. As a side note, if you're in Australia or Europe, they have different models for supplements over there. So when I'm talking about supplements right now, I'm basing it off what's in the US. If you're getting a supplement for your child or your loved one with PMS, sometimes you'll see some stickers on the bottle, some seals. Here are the ones that mean something. If it says NSF, USP, or consumer lab, you can trust that they have been tested, that they're safe, that they're efficacious, that it's a good supplement to take, okay? There's some other stickers, maybe you see it says gluten-free, or vegan, or dairy-free, or non-GMO sourced, even if it has the organic seal on them. That's helpful, right? But it doesn't really tell us, is that supplement free of contaminants? Is that supplement potent? Is it pure? So they're helpful, but they don't really address those issues. And then if you see these stickers, it doesn't mean a thing. If you see FDA registered facility, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. If you see doctor recommended, if you see pharmaceutical grade, if you see clinically proven, that doesn't mean anything. Okay. So don't be fooled by those. And if just because something says that it's natural, don't automatically assume that it's safe. Okay. So when you're choosing supplements, it's important that we're making sure that things we're giving our kids are good for them. They're not going to hurt them. Okay, if you want to go to the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit more about supplements. So do supplements matter for Phelan-McDermid syndrome? You bet they do. And I'll tell you why. There's a genetic deletion, right? And so there are processes that are affected, body processes, and we know that supplements can support and help. So these are some of the supplements that I most often see and recommend for those with Phelan-McDermid syndrome. And I'm not saying that this list is entirely inclusive. And I'm not saying that your loved one with PMS should be on every supplement that's listed here. That's not what I'm saying. Just saying these are ones to consider. This is a starting point for you if you're building a supportive care matrix, okay? So a supplement is not a standalone solution. It's not. This is done on an individual basis. This is done on clinical data from that your doctor is going to help you know, your provider, your dietitian, they're going to help you know what's best for your child. These are just the ones I most commonly see with PMS, and I think that it's helpful to at least consider them for your loved one. And I think, I just want to make this very clear, it is really important to tell your doctor all the supplements that you give your child. I don't care if that list is really long. They need to know all of them because they're supplements. There is a risk associated with this. We don't want to stack supplements, okay? We don't want to stack ingredients. And clinicians can do what we call like an inventory management of the supplements and medications that your child is on so that we make sure that they're not overlapping ingredients. We're making sure that the total daily intake is appropriate. And if there's any redundancy, we can phase that out, make it really streamlined and personalized. So again, going back to my disclaimer, while I'm listing these out as ones that I see often, I'm not telling you to give all of these, okay? So if we're looking at this, let's like a multivitamin mineral. That's what an MVM stands for. These are great because it's a gentle nutrient combination, and they typically include vitamins and minerals in bioavailable forms. Bioavailable means it's easily absorbed and used by the body well. And a multivitamin usually have that at a safe level that's like at or nearly right at the level of the daily recommended intake. They also don't usually megadose unless it says on the outside, but so that's a pretty safe and I feel like a good option to start with for a supplement to consider. Again, I want to make sure that anytime, like vitamin D, we know that's a fat soluble vitamin, right? So we want to make sure that if we are giving that, there's a reason we're giving it and that we're monitoring the levels so it doesn't build up in the body. So these ones here that are listed, these are ones that are grounded in clinical relevance, okay? We need lab data to show us that there's a symptom here that can be helped by this supplement, and understand that even if you take a supplement, that doesn't mean that your child has to be on the supplement indefinitely. What happens is we're going to build a supplement protocol with your doctor, with your dietitian. You're going to build a protocol and you're going to adjust it over time. So there's 3 phases to this when you're talking about supplements. Yes, you can check nutrients regularly, nutrient levels. Your child is getting blood draws anyway. At least for Benjamin, the medications that he's on, we do blood draws like every 6 months for him. And you can just say to your doctor, hey, when you're doing that blood draw, can you please add on a vitamin D level? And if so your child is only getting that blood draw once, they don't have to do it all the time. The lab work, I would say if you're giving a therapeutic dose of a supplement because there was a deficiency, you're trying to find out if you've met that, then yeah, it's important. The doctor will agree to getting that checked because we don't want to overdose anybody. They will do it. Especially if you're doing a nutrient protocol. So phase 1, we do blood work and we see something's low. for example, let's just say iron's low, right? And we've tried to correct it with diet, and the next time we did a blood draw, it's still low. Okay, so we know that maybe we want to add a supplement in. We're going to base that off the lab data that we have. And if you've got a symptom that's showing up and you know from the research, from the actual science that this supplement could help with that. Or sometimes if your child is on a medication, it can deplete certain nutrients, but your doctor would know. But anyway, we're going to dose, in our fictional example here, the iron at a level that is clinically significant, which is higher than what we would normally do in a maintenance level, but still safe as a safe level. Okay, so we're going to dose and we're going to give the supplement at that level. Then once we've been doing that for a while, then we're going to phase 2 is functional support. And that's once that deficiency is stabilized, our child is no longer deficient. Then we're going to say, is there anything else we need to add to support this being absorbed into the cells, right? Is there an antioxidant or a coenzyme or something that's going to help? And then once we've done all that, then we move into maintenance, which is the phase 3, and this is long-term support. So this is when you say, okay, now that we're back, the level is back within the limits that we wanted it to, can we lower the dose? Have we fixed the deficiency? And we're going to simplify the protocol as much as possible. So your doctor or whoever is giving you those is following the supplements that you're giving will do this. This is important to do, and I think they understand that. And if they don't, tell them to call me. Because it matters. We want to make sure like I said, there's a risk inherent with taking supplements, and we want to make sure that we're doing it for a clinical reason, not just because somebody told you this will work great for your child, but because there's a reason. And once we've met that reason, then we don't need to keep taking it. Sorry, back to the multivitamin, I did want to say, it matters how old the person is that you're giving it to. So if you're giving it to your child who's little, just make sure that the multivitamin that you're giving them has values below. You don't want anything over the 100% of the daily value, okay? Because lots of kids are eating foods that are also fortified. And so you don't want to stack that too much and make it where it's harmful or there's a problem. Okay. Any other questions on this slide? I don't see any other.
Chardell, do you have a recommendation about how frequently people would have the blood work checked, or is it really depend on what the doctor would say?
Yeah, it's going to depend on how old your child is. It's going to depend on what the deficiency is, like how much deficient, and then what's your protocol for supplementation, the dose you're giving, how often you need to recheck that, and like specifically what supplement it is. So it's going to be very individualized, but again, your doctor should know that, or they can call me and we can consult together. I think it's important to make sure that we're doing it safely and that it's well monitored. In fact, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So that I guess what the answer to the question is no, there's not a specific, you need to check this and this at these time intervals. It's going to be based on the supplement, how many supplements you're taking, what the deficiency level was, all of that.
Thank you.
And the response, I think, to the supplement. So it's kind of complex to do in a general webinar. Anyway, so those are the ones that I recommend looking at and just considering with your doctor. Okay, do you want to go to the next slide? Cautions. Okay. We got to talk about it because, like I said, they're not benign. Supplements are tools of nutritional precision. It's grounded in biochemistry, and we're tailoring it to individual physiology. So we're not treating a diagnosis with supplements. We're supporting underlying systems that influence symptoms. Okay. We're using supplements as a tool to support nutrition. So again, we're not going to use them as like, oh, this is a wellness goal I have, I'm going to supplement with this, or it's trendy. My favorite influencer is peddling it, or somebody told me it's going to work, because supplements are not benign. There's a burden on the body to process them. So, and any fillers or excipients that are in them. An excipient is like a coloring or a preservative that's also in that supplement to make it in the form that you can administer it. Some of those impair nutrient absorption, and some of those can provoke an immune response. So it's not something that's benign. And there's a toll on your body physiologically to take those meds and to process them. And also the way you think about it, if you think about all the medications your child is taking already, and then you're adding supplements to that protocol, that's a lot psychologically to handle, not only for your child, but also for you to manage. And if you go out of town and you travel, oh my goodness, how many pills and supplements do you need to take with you? And do you have enough? And is my child going to take them? And that's a huge load, and we want to reduce that load. So if you are giving supplements, it needs to be for a clinical reason, and we need to make sure that they're monitored by a physician dietitian, so that we're lightening that load as much as we possibly can. Number 2 on here, supplement protocols need to be justifiable. I want to know why we're doing it, not just for funsies. It needs to be outcome driven. There's a specific reason we're giving it, right? And reviewed regularly. We don't want to overlap products. We don't want to be giving our child something unnecessarily. So supplements can be used short term if you're monitoring them, and then you can change the dose or discontinue when it's no longer necessary. Once you get that iron back up where it needs to be, you don't need to keep giving iron supplements. That's fine. Number 3, drug nutrient and nutrient interactions should be considered. So we know that medications and supplements can interact with each other, and some can cause issues with absorption or efficiency or even safety. So if your doctor has all the information, if you told your doctor everything you're giving your child, then they can make informed decisions about what to recommend and what medications and what to look out for so that your child has the best outcome, okay? And there are also interactions between nutrients and other nutrients. So if you're giving high dose levels of zinc, trying to fix a depletion, right? That can inhibit copper absorption, which is an important thing that we need. If you're giving calcium and magnesium, that can interfere with iron uptake. So making sure that your healthcare provider or your dietitian is looking over your medications so that the supplements you're giving aren't causing problems, they're actually helping. Number 4, okay, look. There is so much that can happen to a supplement from the beginning, from like where the ingredients are sourced, it plays a role in how good the supplement is. And then you've got to worry about, how is that supplement processed? How is it stored? How is it transported? What is it mixed with? All of this makes a difference in the final product's potency, in the safety, and in the efficacy. And so there's a problem in the United States is that, well, this is actually globally, the ingredients can be sourced globally, right? And standards for supplements are not enforced consistently. So we want to make sure that whatever we're giving our loved one with Phelan-McDermid syndrome, that we know what we're giving them, and that we know that it's good for, like, it's not going to harm them, because they're not able to clearly communicate how they feel. So that's up to us. I have some recommendations. If you're purchasing supplements, I want you to do it directly from the manufacturer or an authorized distributor. Okay. When you're buying it from a third-party marketplace like Amazon or eBay or some other places like that, we don't know how they've been stored. It could be improperly. We don't know if they've been returned and resold without inspecting them to make sure they're okay? So we want to make sure that those gaps in the oversight, the regulations, that we're minimalizing them as much as we possibly can. I want you to use brands and supplements that have transparent manufacturing processes, so you know how it's been made, you know where the ingredients are sourced. And I know you don't have time to do all this. So that's a lot, right? You don't have time to do all that. So what you can do is, if you're looking at a supplement, if they have third-party testing and disclosure, you can count on that. A third party is going to come in and look at the supplement and make sure that it really is it's potent and it's safe, just like it says it will be. There is something called the certificate of analysis, but you can't always trust that unless it is batch specific, because they can be falsified. So it's important that's another marker you can indicate this is a safe supplement, but we want to make sure that we're doing our best to get supplements that are good. So supplements are not regulated pre-market in the United States. So before they're put out, they don't have to do any kind of testing. Okay, they can say, here's a supplement, I want to sell it, and they can sell it. Then the risk to make sure that it's safe and everything is left to the manufacturers. And if they sell something that's harmful, there's not really a lot of oversight on that. So they can sell something that's harmful, and until the harm is reported, then they have to address it. So sometimes there's just really not a lot of oversight there. Yeah, probably, but so this is what I'm talking about. Kate, she said, how do we know? Can you buy, you get what you pay for? Yeah, sometimes, but I think it's important if you're buying it from a manufacturer or an authorized dealer, you can go to their website and you can see it will say it has been tested by a third party. Okay, that will tell you right there. And then also you can look and see if it has certificate of analysis, COA, that is batch specific, and that will tell you the purity and efficacy of that specific batch. So it should be listed on the website. Now, if you get to a website and that's not there, it's not transparent, maybe look for something else. You could always send me an email too, and I can help you, okay? But when you're looking at their website, you want a brand that has transparent manufacturing practices. So they say, this is where we source from, and this is how we make it. And we make it in this lab that is temperature controlled, and we store it in trucks when we ship it to the place that are refrigerated so that, there's no breakdown or degradation of the supplement that you're getting. So there are ways to do it. If they're disclosing it, that's a pretty good indication that it is safe to use and a good one.
There was a question above about a specific brand of omega-3. It says, what omega-3 do you recommend? There's so many out there.
There are a lot, right? So again, I would just recommend that you look at one that go to their website, make sure that you're getting it from the manufacturer or an authorized dealer, and then dig into their policies and see how is it made, where is it sourced, how is it stored. Omega-3 specifically, they can break down if they're not stored properly, if they're not made properly, because it's a fat, and so they need to be kept cold. So it's important to see, are they doing all of those things when they're shipping and storing before they give it to you? And then are you doing that when you get it in your own place? So I think the best way you can do it is sorry, I can't endorse a specific brand ethically. As a dietitian, I can't say you need to use this brand, but I can tell you the tools to get that you can find one that you can feel safe giving. So that's what I would say. You need to make sure that you're getting it straight from the manufacturer, and that manufacturer is using transparent practices and it's third-party tested. Then that will give you a good indication that it's safe to give. I apologize. I know that's hard. Okay, number 5. When you're giving more than one supplement, because sometimes you will, it's important to start them one at a time. And the reason we're doing that is we want to make sure that it's working as intended and that the changes we're seeing is actually attributed to that supplement. So you titrate up to the dose that you want, and then you keep it there until you're sure that it's working before you add another one. And documentation is really important. And I know that you are all old hats at documenting things, and you know how to do this, but it's really important that we note if there's any changes, if there's any reactions, and that it's well tolerated before we move on to adding another supplement or we change the dose. Because the whole point of it, right, is correcting deficiencies and aiding processes in the body and simplifying the maintenance. So we want to make sure that this record that we have is a really good guide for future decisions that we're making. And number 6, if you're also using several supplements, make sure that we're not overdosing or ingredient stacking. So there is such a thing as too much, and that can create harm, especially with those fat-soluble vitamins, and also iron and zinc. If they build up in the body, then there's a risk of toxicity, and we definitely don't want that. So there's a difference between a therapeutic dose and a maintenance dose. And the lab results are going to be helpful to give you that picture of what's going on. And if there's a deficiency, you can give a therapeutic dose to correct the deficiency and then move to maintenance once you get within normal limits. And then once you're at maintenance and you're able to keep it there, then you can either decrease the amount or remove the supplement altogether. It's just really important to keep monitoring that, especially for those supplements that, possibly could do harm if we get too much. And yeah, if you are a clinician or your clinician needs some help with a protocol on supplements, have them reach out to me, okay? Common GI symptoms and feeding challenges. So these are the ones that I think are the most common for people with Phelan-McDermid syndrome. I'm not saying that there aren't more, and I'm not saying that, the one that's affecting your child isn't important. I'm just saying these are the most common ones that I see. So chewing and swallowing, that's an issue for more than half of the people living with PMS. Carla spoke about this in the Pathways series on overall health that just took place last month. But here are some things that you can do related to nutrition that can help. Like we're going to take the foods and we're going to cut them into smaller pieces. That can help with chewing. We're going to change the texture of the food. Maybe roasting it makes it softer. Maybe blending it up. We're going to encourage pacing. This is a hard one, right? Especially if it's a child that your loved one really likes. They want to stuff it in their mouth. So pacing is important. If you're experiencing trouble with chewing and swallowing, building a good team is very helpful. So you can work with a dietitian, a speech language pathologist, and the school team. Because if your child is going to school and eating food at school, we need to make sure that we are consistent across all anytime that your child is eating, that they are consistently being reinforced with the pacing and making sure that there's no choking happening. So that is choking and swallowing. Constipation, this is the most common issue for people living with Phelan-McDermid syndrome. It's really impactful, and nutrition can help. So here are some foods that I think, or we know help to reduce constipation is berries, apples, and pears with the skin on. That adds some extra fiber and can help move it through. We know whole grains are very helpful to reduce constipation. Lentils, chickpeas, split peas, those kind of legumes are great. Chia and flax seeds are helpful. Nectar juices, mango, pear, prune, and then green leafy vegetables like spinach and broccoli, very helpful for reducing constipation. There are some foods that can make it worse. White bread and grains, rice and pasta, things without a lot of fiber can make it worse. Fried foods can make it worse, and processed foods like fast food can make it worse. So trying to offer the foods that can help is really important. And then remembering that water intake is going to help the fiber to move through. If you're giving any kind of fiber supplement, again, we want to make sure that that is monitored, okay? Because we don't want to have the bowels become impacted. That's a big concern and can create a lot of problems. So we want to make sure that if you are using a fiber supplement, that it is monitored and well tolerated. If your person with Phelan-McDermid syndrome, your loved one, is on a tube feed or enteral feedings, then reach out to me, because there are some specific things just to make sure that we're reaching the hydration and fiber goals with the formulas that are being given. Finally, GERD. This is gastroesophageal reflux disease, and we do see this in Phelan-McDermid syndrome quite often. And it's vomiting or spitting up after eating, and it creates a lot of issues because the person who's doing it, if they can't communicate clearly what's happening, then we don't know, and that can create damage there. So if your child has this or your loved one has this, we just want to make sure that we're treating it appropriately. We're avoiding triggering foods. Smaller meals help to reduce that, and staying upright, so not eating and then laying down. And again, it's important to consider that sometimes GERD is a side effect of medications you're taking. And if that's the case, again, we can look at the medications and say, this one's causing it, then let's change the medication or get another one that works just as well but doesn't cause the reflux. Okay, next slide. The healthy weight, I think this is someone up here. Yeah, getting enough calories. I will reach out to you. This is something that Ben struggled with too, especially when he was little. Keeping weight on this kid. Like, we would go to the doctor and he would not even be on the growth chart. He would be below it. And it's stressful and it's hard because you're feeding your child and they're not eating enough. And this, I really want to avoid this, but we got the advice, whatever he'll eat, get it in him. And while that may help gain some weight, it's not what your dietitian would say. Your dietitian is going to say that the key to healthy weight gain is to add in high calorie, nutrient dense foods, things like avocados, olive oil, walnuts, nut butter, eggs, seeds, any kind of a whole grain, starchy vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes, corn, peas, squash, lean protein, meat and seafood. All of those things are going to help the body to gain weight, but in a way that is supportive. Okay. We want to get away from shoving fast food or foods that are just like candy, things like that, that will promote weight gain, but it's not really giving a lot of nutrition along with it. Okay. And my biggest tip is to increase the number of meals and snacks that you're having. Um, if your child is eating 3 meals a day, that's great. Have a snack in between breakfast and lunch, and have a snack in between lunch and dinner. That alone will add some calories and add some nutrition along the way. So that's a good way to gain weight. It's difficult. We did eventually get there with Ben. It took time, but you can do it. So, and in a way that's healthy. Okay, next slide. Thank you. I want you to know I threw a lot of stuff at you today, right? And not just nutrition stuff, but supplement stuff. And it's important to have that information, but I also don't want you to feel overwhelmed because you're handling a lot already and you don't have to do this alone. You can build a team that's going to help you. A team that's going to really help you know what can I do best for my child and how can that make their quality of life better, make everything better, right? And support the systems that are functioning, just like we talked about before. Like the gene is missing, we can't rewrite that gene, but we can support the systems that are working. So the people that I want you to consider working with, and Carla talked about this also in the last pathway session, is a registered dietitian nutritionist. Doesn't have to be me. If you have a dietitian that you're already working with, I can consult with them. But you want one that has some experience in this area. There are lots of good dietitians out there. There's probably one near to you that you can use so you can implement these guidelines in a way that works for your loved one with Phelan-McDermid syndrome. Speech language pathologists, these are fabulous resource for chewing, swallowing, and texture sensitivities. So like I said, Ben, he had these issues when he was young, and we had 2 SLPs and they were amazing. They ran an eating class that really helped turn things around for him. So it's a great resource if you're having trouble there. I highly recommend adding one to your team. And OT is going to help with fine motor skills like self-feeding. And this can make an impact on your child's willingness to try new foods or make it easier for them to help you prepare a food, which is a great way to make it more likely that they're going to accept the foods that you're offering and eat them. And then a PT is going to help with movement and activity, especially if your child is not ambulatory or has issues with mobility, because they can give you some exercises that it will help promote movement of food through the bowels, that GI movement. So that's really helpful. And then, of course, a pediatrician or a neurologist, you probably already have one on your team, but if you don't, they're a great addition for medical management, ongoing care kinds of things. So there we go. Okay, Cynthia, don't worry, I'll reach out to you. Triggering foods for GERD are going to be foods like high acid foods, so tomatoes, citrus, those kind of things, because there's already acid in the stomach, and if you put a high acid food in as well, then it kind of creates an abundance too much and can cause the reflux. Sometimes chocolate, caffeine, fast foods, those kind of things are going to be triggering for GERD. If you need more help, go ahead and send me an email and I can give you we can talk through it and we can get more specifics on your loved one with PMS specifically. Okay, next slide. Any questions? Oh, I see one over here. What if she completely refuses healthy food? Even if I continue to introduce it, she will not eat or drink all day if she doesn't like how it looks. Ooh, that's tricky. So this is probably going to be a multi-pronged approach that I would suggest. I would say you want to start, obviously, just offering the food. And I would offer the food that you want her to eat alongside a food that you know she's going to accept. And then, so it's just out there. It's just offered. Yeah, she won't eat or drink all day if she doesn't like it. So I would also pull in a speech language therapist on this team to see if there's something you can do that way. A feeding class may be helpful for her, especially if she's completely refusing it. At a feeding class, there is no pressure for your child to actually eat the food. They go in and they talk about the food and they touch the food and they kind of play with the food and they say like, what does this feel like when I put it in my mouth? And they like show the child how to put it in their mouth and how to interact with the food in ways that are appropriate. And Ben took 2 rounds of feeding classes before he felt that he could increase the amount of food he was eating. So I think that may be a good option for you too. Again, if you want to email me, that'd be great.
I think too, I don't know that from just a parent perspective, obviously you're the professional here, but I put a picture of my son I was editing the guidelines for Chardell, and I found an old picture of him when he was like 2 eating watermelon. That is so far from how he is now. He would never eat a piece of watermelon. His diet is so limited. It's all soft foods. It's all pale, bland, peanut butter, white bread, all the things that it's not great. So this has been very helpful for me. But we recently made a very small change, which was swapping out one of his coconut yogurts with an overnight oats, like a little vanilla flavor. So it's the same flavor. They're both vanilla, same size, little container. And it took a little while. He doesn't love the texture. But he's doing it. And I felt like that was a big hurdle to even get through making that small change, to introduce something that had less sugar and had, just something different for him. So I think sometimes just making a little change and giving it some time can help too.
Oh yeah, and that's a huge win. I mean, not only if you back that out a little bit and look at it, you introduced a new food, a food that's more nutrient dense. He accepted it, right? Even if all he took was one bite, he accepted it. And you're building that trust and you're building a bridge of now he knows you're going to offer him new foods, and if he takes it, that's great, but you're not going to push him. There's not going to be a lot of pressure. It's on his own terms. A lot of times I have noticed with kids who have PMS that it comes down to there's not a lot in their life that they get a say over. And so for them having the independence to say, I don't want to eat that food and you can't make me, is big for them. So offering the food in a way like, would you try this? Here's the one that you always like. I'm going to put it right here, but I'm also going to give you this as an option. You can try it. That helps too, just so that there's more independence there. And again, we're building a team with speech language pathologist, building a team with a dietitian can help, and somebody who's well versed in picky eating and somebody, different strategies you can use to help introduce new foods in a way that makes them more likely to be accepted is very helpful. So it's about building a team. And, as PMS parents, we often feel like we're alone and we don't know what we're doing. There was no manual for this. And I hope that the guidelines can offer you some, like a starting point. But if you need more support, reach out. I'm here. We can get in contact with the support system that you have and build it out so it's more robust and help you to get the team that you need around your child to help them have their best life, because that's really what it's about. And if you're struggling, don't worry, you're not alone. We can help you. So definitely reach out to me or Kara, and we can do what we can to help.
I'm just going to put your contact up so that people are asking in the chat, can we
Oh,
really
yes.
call you? Do you prefer email or text? So here's Chardell and Kara's email addresses, and I will, in my
Yes.
follow-up email, I'm going to share this information too. So don't feel like you have to copy it down right now. If you can't grab it right now, that's okay. But I will send it out in my follow-up email, which will probably go out. I would think I have to edit the video, so probably Monday is when it'll go out.
Perfect. Yes. You email me. That's the best way. Um, and yes, your doctor can talk to me. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. These guidelines are for families, but also for clinicians. And moving forward, that's going to be my main goal, is helping you implement these. So if your doctor has a question about supplements or feeding, or your SLP needs some tips, send me an email. I'm happy to work with whoever I need to help you. Okay. Um, yeah, email's the best, I think.
Okay, perfect. I mean, this has been incredible. I feel like there's so many little changes people can make, and then the bigger picture. There's just so much in your presentation, and I think it's so tangible and concrete for families. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your beautiful guidelines, and for spending this hour with all of us.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.